Where should Kyle Verreynne bat? Will South Africa be having a proper preparation before the World Cup? Where does Faf du Plessis fit in South Africa's plans? Those are some of the questions we'll be answering on today's Q&A session. That we will be doing with Aditya and myself. We'll be talking to you guys, so get your questions in the comment section. All of that will be happening next, so please stay tuned, guys. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is the Q&A with myself and Aditya, part 2. Now, if you guys have watched the first part, you can go check that out on the channel. We did that one yesterday, where we answered some of your questions. We're going to be doing something similar today, but I'm going to start it off. First and foremost, welcome Aditya to the channel, again to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
Thank you. Doing very well. How about yourself?
No, not good. Thank you. I was running around now before the show making food. So I made this macaroni and cheese, chicken, mushroom, macaroni and cheese now for the family. So I hope it came out nicely. It's my own take on it, and I kind of fused a couple of recipes, my old recipe, with a couple of new tips that I found now. So hopefully it does taste nice. We've got a couple of judges here in the family for this Master Chef episode, so we'll have to wait and see how that does. Before everybody gets their questions in, I want you guys to please click subscribe on this channel. If you haven't subscribed quite yet, click that subscribe button, click that notification bells for all future videos, and smash that like button, guys. Let's get this likes up. Any likes today. Let's hope that we can get it up to there by the end of the day. Maybe 50 by the end of the day would be excellent. Then we can start trending in various recommended feeds. My first question, though, I'm going to start it off. I'm going to kickstart it. It's because of your column. Aditya wrote an excellent column that is on the channel at cricketfanaticsmag.com currently. Sorry guys, that was the timer for the mac and cheese. My sister's gonna take it out of the oven very quickly to go check if it's nice and crispy on the top and dark. Aditya, I want to ask you that question. What is going to be different with regards to the preparation? I mean, South Africa is not going to have the best of preparation for this T20 World Cup. Only really West Indies and Ireland and maybe Sri Lanka, hopefully Sri Lanka as well. Obviously the India tour obviously is out of the window now with the IPL being postponed and moved later on to this year. So just give me the thoughts about you actually, how you went about that column, why you chose that particular topic.
A large part of the reason is that I think everyone, including players and administrators, are confused about what the schedule is going to look like for the next 4 or 5 months. And with the World Cup happening, we've been talking a lot about South Africa's preparation on the show. Mark Boucher talked about the fact that he wants to get South Africa's best 11 ready by the West Indies tour. But unfortunately, it's hard because the IPL got cancelled, the PSL got cancelled. There are contractual obligations there, and that September-October window is the only time that you can actually fit the IPL again. So it's unfortunate, but I think if there's any comfort that South Africa can seek from it is that all teams are going through that phase of uncertainty. Not a lot of teams will have played their best 11s for a consistent period of time before the World Cup. So, everyone's going to be in a similar place come the World Cup. And the other thing is, I think this is an advantage for South Africa because we all know that South Africa is under more pressure compared to other teams when they go into ICC tournaments. And for them to not have, we don't know what the result of that India tour would have been. If South Africa plays India and they lose, comprehensively or not, but if they lose, they go into even more pressure before the World Cup starts, and that would certainly hurt their performance at the World Cup. But in the column, I mentioned that even if South Africa's physical preparation is not ideal, in terms of logistics and tours being called off, I would hope that Mark Barcher and Themba Bavuma have an idea of their best 15 and the roles that they'd like them to play, because at an individual level, that should be communicated to players so that at least mentally they can start preparing for the World Cup, at least at an individual level.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be quite tough. But I mean, from the other players or the other teams' perspectives, when I look at it, the difference is that South Africa is still trying to find our 11. Where I feel that India and England and Australia, to an extent, even New Zealand, are kind of settled in their 11s. They know who they want to start. At least they know they 10 names or 9 names that are definite. The others are obviously based on maybe conditions and maybe on form. Whereas South Africa are currently still looking for that core players in the side. They're still looking for specific core positions in the side. Now, we can rattle off all the 11s that we want, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what South Africa is going to end up with. I mean, I think that there's still places up for grabs. I think the West Indies will be an excellent test for this young South African squad, and I think a lot of people will be able to put up their hands over there for this particular tournament. Okay, let's get into some of the questions over here. Geez, I almost bottled that one. Tell us about David Miller's consistency since last year. So when I look at David Miller, I can even look at it. I can take it back further. Let's go from 2017-18 season. The 2017-18 season, he played 8 games and he averaged 41. Right now, that was quite an excellent performance. Then in 2018-19, he bettered that. He went to 41.40. Then 2019-20, he dropped a bit to 23.60. But this season, 2020-2021, there's only been 3 matches and he's averaging at 116 and hitting at a strike rate of 156 with an 85 not out. Of course, only 150. So it's only 3 results. So you can't really look at it like that. But I think that progressively he's improved. I think that is as the time has gone by over the last few years, David Miller has become stronger and stronger and stronger as a player. And I think that he's currently in the best situation or form of his life. I think he's in the perfect situation where he's not necessarily the most senior guy, but he's not necessarily one of the younger guys in the team. Whereas before he was like still a youngster, still riding on that, that I wouldn't say it's an excuse, but he was still riding on the fact that he was still a youngster and there was room for improvement. Whereas right now, I think he's in the space where there's no pressure on him. He can just go out there and play his game because there are guys that have been given the captaincy and the leadership group that will take majority of the pressure at the top above him. And below him, he's kind of the last batsman before the all-rounders. So he can just go ahead and express himself. There was only one particular part of his game that I'd like to see him take out, is him taking more responsibility at the crease and not rotating the strike when we need him to be at the end of an innings, striking quickly, getting quick runs. I don't want him to be rotating with a new person at the crease. He should take the senior role. I think even if he comes to the crease and there's a quick wicket that was lost and his eye is not necessarily in, I think he needs to face majority of the balls, even though there are all-rounders that you maybe can be disposable in inverted commas in a way. What's your thoughts on David Miller's consistency over the last year or so, Aditya?
Look, over the last year, he's been outstanding. He's played for the Dolphins, and then he played very well against Pakistan, and he did have an excellent knock for the Rajasthan Royals as well. Look, we all know that David Miller is a quality player, and there will be dips in form from time to time. I think what
especially when he comes in the order.
Yeah, exactly. That 5-6 is a very tricky place to bat. I think from a fan's perspective, we need to be realistic about what David Miller will achieve, because he can get you. And this is not an analysis of his ability. I think if David Miller is batting at 3 or 4, he'd be making 100 every 7 or 8 games. Who knows? But because of the position that he bats at, he's more likely to score, quick fire 40s, 50s, maybe even 70s. And if there's lots of early wickets, then maybe he can have the chance of scoring a century. But that's something that fans need to be realistic about. And there's no question. I think if the top order fires, and David Miller is in at you know like 250 for three in 40 overs. Last 10 overs, he can go berserk. He that's the ideal situation for him. But if you have a top order that is not firing or is inconsistent, then that puts additional responsibility on David Miller because there isn't a lot of striking to come after him. So I think I do think that the management needs to give him a little bit of a cushion and maybe add an extra batsman at six, or seven, so that he has that security.
That's true as well. I think that's also a good option. I'm just looking at his stats over here since England in East London on the 12th of February 2020. For that year period till February 2021, which is the last T20 game that we've played against Pakistan in Lahore, he's averaged 43, and which is an excellent return, I think. But when you look at it, there are a couple of games where he didn't necessarily bat a lot. He doesn't get opportunities to bat in T20 cricket because of where he is in the lineup. So he only batted in about, can I say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 innings. Unfortunately, out of in these games. So it's really unfortunate that we only get to see that. But I mean, it's fine. I think with David Miller, he needs to be that finisher that we've been looking for. South Africa's been looking for that finisher for quite some time, and I think they found it in David Miller. I think he needs to really maybe bat 5, 6 and become that catalyst at the end of the order. If we need him to pull us out of trouble, that's brilliant. If we need someone to marshal the innings so that we can take our innings to a bigger height or a higher score at the back of an innings, that's something that David Miller can do. Let's go to the next question over here, Aditya. We've got Khalid, hope all is good. What you guys think about Reinhard van Tonde's omission from the Test squad? Okay, so personally, I'm a big Reinhard van Tonde fan. I've been a massive fan of him since I saw him in Kayamajolo week in 2017, I think it was. If I remember correctly, I think it was 2017, 2018. So even that World Cup, of course, he did brilliantly in that World Cup, where I know South Africa only got to the quarterfinals, I think it was, but he was excellent. I think he batted really well. I mean, it's a pity that he hurt himself in that particular, he got injured in that particular tournament, so that was unfortunate. But I think Reinhard van Tonde is still very young. I don't think we should rush him into the lineup when we have other guys that have been knocking on the door for quite some time. We've got still Keegan Peterson. We still have Zubair Hamza, who I feel still needs another opportunity at international cricket. Hopefully he has an excellent season this season, because last season it wasn't his best season in the longest format, as captain of the Cobras at the time. So hopefully for Western Province, he will be able to put up his hand and really perform at a much better average and a much better consistency. Reinhard van Tonde, I feel he's only had 2 seasons in domestic cricket, 1 full season. I mean, he had a season opening the batting for the Knights a little bit, but he played only in a couple of games. He's now been a mainstay guy and one of the top scorers in this particular tournaments. So I think the last 2 seasons he's been excellent. He's had 3 seasons, I think. One season where he was just in and out, and then the season afterwards he scored almost 800 runs, I think it was, and then last season as well he did excellently. So I think he needs just 1 more season maybe to show what he can do. I think that's what Reinhard needs to do, and then I'm fine. I think it's fine from his point of view. I think there's time for him to still be able to show what he is capable of.
And also, Graham Smith had indicated in his press conference that in the last season, South Africa had exposed about 45 players to international cricket. That's unusual, and obviously that's because of uh, biobubble protocols and COVID and so on. But um, I do think that now, as when things start to normalize a little bit, they won't be giving out they won't be giving out national caps so easily, because I mean the biosecurity environment is not going to stay on forever. But they also don't, like Mark Boucher had indicated that perhaps the team had given too many opportunities to newcomers who are probably not ready for international cricket, and I think it's also it also does a certain degree of disservice to talented players who really should be getting as much game time as possible, as opposed to like warming the benches. Um, I think Reynard Van Tonda is better served playing domestic cricket as opposed to not really getting that game time with the national team. So I think that's okay. He'll come out when he's ready to play for the Proteas. He's going to be a much better player.
Yeah, that's excellent question over there. Let's go move on. What's the reason for Andile's form dipping? Now, Andile is a very difficult one. Um, I feel that Andile is a player that has always had so much potential. I think he's still very young. Um, it's not like Andile is is old at the moment, but I mean, like, Andile is a guy that needs to find consistency in his game. When I spoke to Lance Klusner, who was his coach at the Dolphins not too long ago when he was still young, he spoke very highly of Andile Peklikwayo. He actually said that Andile is probably the one player he believes that can emulate him in games, which was quite a shock to me when he said that, because I thought that, wow, that's a massive statement to make for someone that is such a legend in the game. To say that he thinks that he can basically become the next almost Lance Klusner in the side. But then he said he needs to improve his batting. Now, Antilles in the last two years or so, let's take it from September 2019 when he went to India. Um, he didn't bat much as well, similarly, because obviously in T20 cricket you'll hardly see him bat. But he's averaging really low. I mean, 7 at the moment with a bat. These a couple of not outs, a couple of 11s, 14s, 18s over here, but nothing to run home to. With a ball, I feel that Andile is one of those guys, he'll either perform with a bat or he'll perform with a ball. It's very seldomly that he will be performing with both. Like, I hardly ever saw him actually perform with both. Now, when I look at his bowling stats, because of his slower pace, so over the last 2 years since 2019, he's averaged at 29, and his economy rate is 9.18. But there's been a couple of performances that really stood out. That I think that he's been economical in certain particular games, but he needs to really improve his all-round game. He has to do so if he wants to compete with some of the guys. I think that injury also got involved with Antile. The lockdown really affected him, so he's formed up. He put on a little bit of weight as well. David Miller was still making fun of him on the field and going on with him a little bit in the T20 challenge. So he put on a little bit of weight as well. So I think it's been a combination of a lot of things, especially also the Black Lives Matter movement and how he's been always in the talk with regards to quota systems, etc. So I think there's a lot of avenues that we have to look at with regards to the tip of his form. I think that there are a couple of guys that obviously want to see him out of the team. They don't want him in the squad at all. What is your thoughts on that, Aditya?
Attila it's a tricky question because he's a talented player, but there are some it's very obvious gaps in in his game, which I don't think help his cause a whole lot. And when we were talking during the Pakistan series, it was we were talking mainly about his strike rate, because he's coming in at number 7, and his strike rate is significantly less than David Miller's strike rate. At one, I think in that first game when South Africa had a collapse early on, I think Antile was striking at about like 80. At one point, he was batting on 10 of 22 balls, and he's a number 7 batsman batting in the death overs. So I don't think that really helps, and that's something that he needs to work on. With his bowling, I think he's been okay with the ball. I don't think he's been terrible. Um,
Yeah, I mean, since
I think he's been
2017,
okay.
he's averaged 21. But you see, he's only played 34 matches.
Yeah,
I mean, since 2017, that's a little.
yeah. But yeah, I think my my concern with respect to Antile is always going to be with his batting, because I think
Yeah.
he's done decently well with the ball, and he can bowl at least 7 or 8 overs, but
Mm,
the team suffers when he's scoring at a strike rate of 90. And
mm,
if you look at players across the world who are batting in the same position, whether it's Hardik Pandya, Andre Russell, Moeen Ali, you know, Andre Russell is striking about 200. Hardik Pandya is striking at 190. Moeen Ali is striking at 180. So you can't have Andele batting at that same position and striking at 90 or 80. That doesn't help the team. That's the position that needs to give that the team that impetus.
mm. I mean,
Convert
there's
that to
other
320 to 350.
Yeah, there's other batsmen. I mean, there's other all-rounders that are better batsmen than Andile. Unfortunately, that is how it is at the moment. Um, I can't. I'm not going to sit here and say that he doesn't deserve to be in the Proteas setup. I'm not going to sit here and say that at all, because it's not my decision to make whether someone should be in the side or not based on his stats. Um, because currently I don't know what their reasoning, what their thought processes are behind the selections, etc. So obviously, it would be nice to see that. I mean, I can see the talent in Adile. When he played in that ODI, he was excellent with a bat, but then he wasn't that good with the ball. So my problem is he needs to find that balance between both. Um,
Yeah,
it's for him to become someone that is a force to be reckoned with in that position. I mean, he needs to decide if he wants to be a bowling all rounder or a batting all rounder or just a plain simple all rounder. Um, those are the type of things that we have to look at when it comes to Andile. Luckily, though, Andile, he does have age to an extent on his side. I mean, we saw Dwayne Pretorius only really kick on 27 years old, 28 years old, round about there. Adele, as all rounders normally generally kick on that age. There's very seldom are all rounders top class or world class at the age of 21, 22. Very seldomly do we see that. All rounder takes quite some time to actually hit its peak and find their form. Because of the two disciplines, it can be quite hectic and on your body, and it can be quite difficult to be able to keep your concentration levels at a certain height. I see him as an 8. I don't see him as a 7 currently. That's how I see him. I see him as a bowling all rounder, a bowler that can bat a little when we need him to. But I don't think that's how he wants to be seen. I think he wants to be seen as a general all rounder that can bat. Now, that's something that he needs to find that form. And luckily, domestically, they are giving him that opportunities to bat higher up the order so that he can get more opportunities to bat, because he's been in the international setup since the beginning, since under 19 level, right through into international cricket. So he's hardly had a chance to actually play domestic cricket on a consistent basis in the white ball format. So unfortunately, he's going to need to bat more, and that's the only way he's going to be able to get better. And that's what I have for you guys today. So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. We will do another part of this maybe at some point. We're going to do more regular questions and Q&As. I only got this amount of time for you. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Thanks a lot for obviously coming and supporting us. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and click that notification bell. Please give it to all your friends and families as many times as you can. We need you guys to join this channel. I saw in the comment section someone asking me about how they can sponsor the daily show. Just getting in touch with us on email us directly. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now for you to look at so that you can see our email address. There are some links in the description about becoming a sponsor with Cricket Fanatics magazine and how you can become a sponsor and sponsor your brand, etc. Those links are in the description, but I'll give you our email address is cricketfanaticsmag@gmail.com. That's our email address. It's going across the screen. Just write it down quickly. We'll come back to the video at a later stage to go check it out and what it is. And yeah, you can get in touch with us. Leave us a comment, and maybe I will also then on the video after we're done over here, and then we can obviously go ahead and get in touch with you. So thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Also, you guys can get involved with Super Chats. Don't forget that. The Super Chats are available on our streams. So get involved with our Super Chats, please. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on the show. Everybody, don't forget to obviously smash that like button, comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to download the latest issue of the magazine. It's on the screen and in the description. Become a subscriber today and become a part of the family. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with an Offside Maiden show. So please support that show as much as you can. Support the ladies. They are putting in a lot of hard work and excellent content. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you guys very, very soon.